in international water. So it's a complete act of piracy, and then these soldiers expect to be received as if they were, I don't know, guests. So this shows about certain, and unfortunately the Israeli society is behind the government in that sense, still behind the government. So it is under blockade. The Israeli society is under self-imposed siege.
Amira Haas, you were supposed to be on one of the boats in the flotilla?
Yes, I registered. As you know, we are not, Israeli journalists are not allowed to enter Gaza through Erez, and I did enter over the past year and a half. I did enter 3 times, so-called illegally, and the first time was with a boat, and I registered to enter. And I was supposed to be on a boat with Dror Feiler, the Israeli-Swedish activist and musician. But unfortunately, because they kept postponing the date, I had something I could not cancel in Jerusalem at the end of last week. So unfortunately, I did not join it.
Amira Haas, you talked about the protests in the Palestinian territories. What about in the Israeli Jewish community? What has been the response, and what are you seeing on Israeli television? What kind of video? What is the story, the narrative you're getting?
There were Israeli activists have had several demonstrations since yesterday, as I could tell by emails and by what friends told me, and Palestinians in Israel as well, of course. There are all sorts of condemnations by Israeli organizations and organizations for human rights organizations. So there is an activity, and it is adding to the quite rich activity of Israeli Jews against the occupation, which we see permanently. But it's an activity of a minority. There are, of course, publicists and some public personalities who are allowed by Israeli blindness, I think, as I can tell by the reports. Now, the Israeli version, as is seen, and is almost the only version that is shown to the Israeli public, is that once they went down the ropes, the soldiers, they were immediately attacked by some people who had with them knives and sticks or whatever, and were beating them. They also showed the video with these photos, and you can hear also on the voice, you can hear that the soldiers are surprised, are shocked, and so are their officers, their commanders, which watch everything through the whatever equipment they have. I tend to believe that they were indeed surprised, that they did not expect resistance, that they did not expect to be challenged. I cannot tell if it was after, by what we are shown, if it was after some shots that they shot and killed some people, or was it simultaneously when they slid down from the helicopters. But this is what is seen on Israeli TV. And this is also what I read some testimonies of soldiers, and this is also what soldiers told a military correspondent of ours who, of course, got the permission to speak to them. We don't get any detailed account of anyone of those who were on the ship.
I want to bring Ali Abu Nama, the co-founder of the Electronic Intifada and author of One Country, a Bold Proposal to End the Israeli-Palestinian Impasse, into the discussion. He's joining us from Chicago. Ali, can you talk about the reaction from the United States, from the Obama administration, and also at the Security Council?
Yes, good morning. Among the more than 700 people on the ship from about 32 countries are 13 United States citizens, including a former ambassador, Ed Peck, who has been released and is reported to be on his way back to the United States. But as in the previous Israeli acts of piracy and war against ships heading to Gaza, you remember when Cynthia McKinney was kidnapped and jailed in Israel for trying to reach Gaza. Once again, the United States government is saying and doing nothing publicly that suggests any great concern for its citizens who have been kidnapped by Israel. And the statements from the Obama administration, particularly that by the U.S. representative at the United Nations, Alessandro Wolf, were really quite shocking and astonishing. You played a clip during the news where he suggests really that the flotilla were themselves to blame, talking about using non-confrontational and non-provocational methods rather than going by ship. In other words, suggesting, agreeing with the outrageous Israeli claims that trying to reach Gaza with humanitarian aid is somehow a provocation or a confrontation. And Ambassador Wolf also reaffirmed Israel's so-called right to self-defense in this context, which suggests that the United States, unless it makes clear otherwise, believes that attacking a civilian ship on the high seas and massacring an unknown number of its passengers is somehow self-defense. I think we also have to keep our eye on the context here, Anjali. Just a week or so ago, the United States Congress voted by 410 to 4. I'll repeat that, 410 to 4 to a request from the Obama administration for additional military aid, another $205 million. This was clearly a political move by the Obama administration to fund the rather useless Iron Dome rocket defense as a way to appease Israel politically. But the message Israel got from this, as it has gotten from U.S. and international complicity and complacency, the failure to hold Israel accountable for the war crimes documented in the Goldstone report, the failure to hold Israel accountable for the act of international terrorism and murder in a hotel room in Dubai, the failure to hold Israel accountable for 4 years of murderous siege on Gaza that has killed by itself 400 Palestinians for lack of access to medical aid and other needed supplies. The failure to hold Israel accountable in all these ways has sent Israel the message, do what you like, get away with whatever you want to, until people hold Israel accountable. And so what the Freedom Flotilla was it was a peaceful, unarmed People's Navy assembled to fill the void and the vacuum where the Obama administration should be, where the UN Security Council should be, where the Arab governments should be, where the European Union should be. And it is a shocking outrage and a crime that will live in infamy, along with the bombing of the King David Hotel, along with the attack on the USS Liberty, along with so many other appalling crimes that international humanitarian workers bringing aid were attacked on the high seas. I spoke to you a few months ago when I was in Cairo with the Gaza Freedom March. By now, people have tried to reach Gaza to break the siege by land. They have tried by sea, and they have lost their lives. They have given their lives in the cause of breaking this siege on Gaza. And we have to ask, for what crime are 1.5 million people in Gaza being held prisoner? There is a museum in Berlin, which I visited as a schoolboy, to those who were killed trying to cross, those who were machine-gunned trying to cross over the Berlin Wall. Well, an unknown number of people, because Israel won't tell us, were machine-gunned for trying to break this blockade. When will there be accountability? And when will the Obama administration stop this outrageous complicity, this enabling, this acting as an accomplice with these crimes against people in Palestine, and now against Americans, Turks, Greeks, Jordanians, Palestinians, Lebanese, Swedes, French people, German people, members of parliament, doctors, retired people, trying to bring medicine to people in Gaza. That our government has not stood up and condemned this in the clearest possible terms is a sign that something is sick in the United States system when it comes to speaking about and dealing with Israel. There is a sickness that has to be addressed.
Ali Abunimah speaking to us from Chicago. He's the founder of the Electronic Intifada. Adam Shapiro in the studio in New York at Democracy Now! Amira Haas is with us from Ramallah in the West Bank. When we come back from break, we're going to Richard Falk, the UN Special Rapporteur for Human Rights in the Palestinian territories, to talk about international law. I'm Amy Goodman with Anjali Kamet, and we're broadcasting from New Orleans, Louisiana, where the BP oil catastrophe continues to unfold. Stay with us.